Hello once again, my name is Lonnie.
My name is Mark.
And this is Comic Book Malarkey. And we are recording on location at Infinity Flux out of Hickson, Tennessee. I like how you point to that. That's just pretty neat. Very like a genius move there.
We got to plug the store.
But since we had issues coming up with stuff to record, I'll just be quite honest. That's why we're doing this.
You're not supposed to tell them the secrets.
Oh,
this has been pre-planned for months.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's talking about.
I want to talk about not only favorite comic book, but it has one issue. But the one issue that if somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I've never read a comic book before in my life. Can you suggest one book, regardless of the price? You know, everything's available digitally now.
Right.
Regardless of the price, give me one book that if I love it, I will become a lifelong collector. If I don't like it, I'm done forever." And I've got mine, and I've already done this with probably half a dozen people over the last couple of years. But I have to ask, what is your go-to favorite comic book that you would show somebody if you wanted to make them a fan?
I would have to go with the one that up until then I was just a casual comic book reader. I'd go and pick them up. This book was the first one that once I got it, I was like, I'm collecting from this point on.
Okay.
And that would be the John Byrne Man of Steel 1986 issue number 1 of the 6-issue miniseries, where they relaunched Superman after Crisis.
Okay, ain't that the one that has the ship blasting off?
Yep.
And it has
it had several variant covers, but the main cover was Krypton with the ship blowing up and flying out. So, but it
that
was
one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That
I'm gonna
is
pull
the
this
one.
up right here and show everybody. Just that is the book that he is referencing there.
So this issue pretty much relaunches the entire Superman genre. It's a very, very brief telling. Matter of fact, you don't even get a reference to Krypton in it until a good chunk into it.
Okay.
It's a 6-issue miniseries, but the first issue starts with him rescuing the spaceship, and then it starts with him playing football, and his father comes to him.
I'm assuming as a teenager.
Yeah, as a teenager, and his Pa Kent comes to him and tells him that how they found him.
Yeah.
And shows him the spaceship, and then he leaves for a few years and wanders the world.
This is kind of like the Man of Steel.
Kind of, and
movie.
And then when he comes, when he finally gets photographed saving the spaceship that was going to crash in Metropolis. And so he comes home and he's talking to Ma and Pa, and he's like, they all wanted a part of me. I couldn't get away from them. I'm never going to get any privacy now. And so they invent the persona of Clark Kent. Clark, before he got revealed, never wore glasses or anything like that. So they told him, what you got to do is you slick your hair back, you hunch a little bit, you put on a pair of your dad's old glasses, and that can be your fortress of solitude. And then you can wear this costume that your mom made for you. And they redefine how his powers work in this, and they kind of sort of set it up that anything he ever wears close tight to his skin doesn't rip, because they establish it that he's got this telekinetic force field around him. That is part of where his strength comes from. Because he talks about how in this miniseries, he talks about how he notices things are lighter if he's flying and carrying them than if he's just picking them up on the ground and stuff like that. But just that really got me into the Superman mythos really strongly, and
I'd actually probably need to read that. I used to have a reprint of it.
I've got digitals of it,
and yeah, I'll need to read that because it sounds really cool. I've never really read a good Superman origin story.
It was probably, and they kind of sort of redid all of the Krypton thing and everything, and it kind of went away from the Bryan Singer, well, not Bryan Singer, but the Richard Donner version of the, with crystals and everything like that. It was more, Krypton was more sterile and more, like that. But just in this one book, you get like a brief glimpse of Krypton. Krypton blows up. Clark's a teenager. A little bit of that. He leaves, and then like the very last issue is a splash page of him the first time in his Superman costume flying away.
Okay, so the whole 6 issues is origin.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, no. Well, yeah. It's the six issues is origin, because you really don't get to like he doesn't get a message from Jor-El until like issue 5 or issue 6.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, but just they reinvent Clark, they reinvent Lex, they reinvent Lois, they reinvent Ma and Pa. Pa's not dead. Pa stays alive through the whole thing.
And this is more this is more in line. This is what started the storyline. Like if people have read The Death of Superman, or
Yes.
if they've read anything in the 90s, this is the origin of that.
Right. So what you had is at the end of right there in 1985, 84, 85 was Crisis on Infinite Earths. And so when they came out of Crisis on Infinite Earths, you had they relaunched everything. So they relaunched Green Lantern with Emerald Dawn, and they relaunched Superman with Man of Steel. They relaunched Wonder Woman with George Perez writing it. Good series. That's probably the best run on Wonder Woman I've ever seen. And then they kind of didn't really touch Batman, but they did. They kind of relaunched him in a way, but not so much. And then they relaunched Flash, like I was mentioning when we were talking about our Rebirth episode, because Barry Allen died in Crisis. They relaunched Flash with Wally taking up the mantle of the Flash.
Okay.
So that was the core, the core comics that you had for the 80s.
So you would say that this issue still holds up fairly well to somebody, a new reader?
I think it would. It's a little dated. There's several 80s references, and, you have, things you wouldn't have in comic books nowadays with characters smoking and stuff like that. But, I think it did hold up.
The number one issue of that would be the getting on point, and then they would want to read the rest of the series. And...
Oh, yeah. That was it for me. Like my cousin gave me the series, the miniseries, and that was what that's when I started treating comic books with respect. That's when I started bagging and boarding them. So that's what got me on board with collecting.
Okay. For me, and this is like my go-to, this has not changed in 10 years.
Okay.
The minute I read this book, this was from then on, this was the go-to book. If somebody said, hey, I want to read X-Men or I want to read comics, Ultimate X-Men number 41.
Really?
And anybody who has really like talked to me online or things like that, they know that that's the book. And it kind of a nondescript book. This is it's New Mutants Part 2 was the storyline that they were doing. It was like a multi-part deal where a lot of New Mutants were popping up. They were introducing a lot of Ultimate versions of established characters. This particular book was a standalone in the middle of like a multi-part story.
Okay.
And this kid wakes up one day, is getting ready to go to school. He wakes up and he's like 13, 14, and he walks downstairs. Nobody's home. He looks around. Apparently there's supposed to be like a bowl of fruit on the kitchen counter.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing there. Everything's gone. And so he basically leaves a note for his mom on the fridge and was like, Mom, where are you? I wanted breakfast. There's no breakfast here. I'll be back later this evening. And so as he leaves, you see his mom's clothes crumpled up on the floor.
Huh.
And so he goes to school. Nobody's around. No cars, no nothing. And he's like, weird. And so he gets to school and everything's normal. People are running around. His girlfriend walks up to him and hey, suddenly she burns into nothing right in front of him.
Okay.
And so come to find out, this is the first day with his new mutant power, completely uncontrollable, where he basically destroys all organic matter that comes within so many feet of him. And
alrighty then.
So it kind of blacks out and it goes and he's like living in a cave. I think this is like 2 days later or something. And he's like staying in a cave and Wolverine shows up. And he's
Which
like...
is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and he shows up and he's like, hey, they sent me to talk to you because, you're actually deteriorating me right now, but my healing factor is keeping up with it. And he's like, that's your ability. Congratulations. And he's like, well, I can't control it. And he's like, just one chromosome to the left or right, I could have been an X-Man. He's like, yeah, maybe. And he's like, well, how many people did I kill? He was like, that's not really important. He was like, no, really, tell me. And it ends up being something like 450.
Oh, wow.
That he killed. And he's like, if anybody ever found out about this, they'd round us all up in camps. It'd be over for us. He's like, Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. and everybody, they've basically explained that it's like a chemical leak or something at a local plant, and we've kind of covered this up. And so you get the idea that they've sent Wolverine there to kill him.
That's where I was going with this.
There's
as
no...
as you're describing it.
Yeah, and... like, this book is so old, I'll give the spoilers for the end. But
yeah, I was gonna say this.
Yeah, this was like 2003, 2004, something like that. And so, he basically, the kid comes to terms with what's happened, and Wolverine has brought a 6-pack of beer and wants to sit down and drink a beer with the kid, and the kid drinks 2 or 3 drinks, and he's like reminiscing on all the stuff that he'll never be able to do and everything, and. So Wolverine's like, yeah, pretty much. And so the kid's like, just do it. And then the next page is like Wolverine walking out of the cave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That, to this day, is my favorite all-time single issue of anything. Anything.
I can see that. And it kind of sort of leaves it open. You don't know if he killed him.
Oh, he did.
Oh, he did? Like, they showed it?
No.
Well,
but he never showed up again. It was over. No, he's dead.
General rule of comics: no body, no death.
Yeah, but he's dead. And I mean, regardless,
I'm gonna have to go read that now. Even though you kind of laid the whole story, I want to actually go back and read that now. That sounds pretty cool.
Truthfully, I've had 3 or 4 people just over the past whenever I'm out and about and I find a copy of it, I buy it because I've always got a copy, but I always like having 3 or 4 extras. Because if I ever show somebody my comic book collection, they're like, oh, I've never got into books or whatever.
Here
you go. Read this. Because it's, I have yet to have anybody tell me, oh, that was a horrible story.
It doesn't sound like it would be.
It actually made some people cry.
I could see
how good it is.
It sounds like a really good story. I'm going to have to look at it. I never got into the Ultimate Universe all that much. I read a little bit of Ultimate SpiderMan and...
Ultimate XMen was really good. It was hit or miss sometimes, but you're looking at about 85% hit, 15% miss.
Okay.
And a lot of the Ultimate books kind of, I guess, jumped the shark around the time the Ultimatum crossover hit.
God bless.
And then, Reed Richards became a villain and that kind of stuff. But anything...
What I read of Spider-Man was good.
About the time X-Men hit about number 100, Ultimate X-Men did, was when things kind of really went to crap. But they had some really good stuff where Jean ended up becoming the Phoenix. Matter of fact, the X-Men Apocalypse story, that, the movie,
right?
They borrowed heavily from the Ultimate X-Men.
Oh yeah, they've been borrowing heavily from the Ultimate Marvel Universe for all the Marvel movies.
And Ultimate X-Men, Jean was 16, maybe 17, and ended up sleeping with Logan.
Sounds about right.
Who was 170 or something. Yeah, they ended up leaving together for a few issues and having a thing. And then she came back. She ends up cutting all of her hair off and becomes kind of like the punk type girl. I'm trying to think of Beast, his whole transformation. The entire team gets captured by the Weapon X program, and they do experiments on everybody. And
I think I read all that because but in that universe, Nightcrawler was a part of Weapon X. And,
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't quite remember that because it's been. I had the big hardcover that had the first 25 issues collected, and I read it all in one sitting, and it's been literally 10 years since I've read it. But yeah, Ultimate X-Men was amazing for at least like the first 50 issues.
I'll have to check that out.
Um,
I'll check. I definitely have to check out 41, right?
Yeah,
I gotta
Ultimate
check that
X-Men
out.
41. And what I really wasn't a real big fan of like Jubilee in that series was a member. Was she was like the leader of Alpha Flight.
You didn't like Jubilee?
She was the leader of Alpha. I didn't
my
like what they
God.
did with the character.
They had to have really screwed her up for you not to like her.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh, let me. I'll actually pull up a picture of her.
Oh my goodness. So while he's pulling that up,
Yeah.
so down in the comment section, down yonder ways, why don't you guys tell us what your favorite comic book
Yeah,
is?
I would love to know that.
Because that way it could be something we could read and we could like come in like, you know, or if there's a story arc that you want to see us do a story over, because basically we're getting together like 2 or 3 days before we film and we're like, okay, let's talk about this, what do you want to talk about this week? And we're pulling out older stories from back in the days that we remember. We want to hear what the fans of Untitled Nerd Network want to hear about, okay? Because we, you know, we want to bring it to you.
This is Jubilee.
Oh dear, well,
She looks. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
she looks like her.
kind of.
I don't know if you can see like very well there, but I will read you like just a really quick history of her. Like this is all that they have of her. Jubilee was a member of Alpha Flight. The team overpowered the X-Men during the game of baseball against the Academy of Tomorrow and kidnapped North Star, claiming that he belonged with them. She has a laid-back personality. Even during and after the battle, she was a fan of Dazzler. She was such a fan that she planned to get Dazzler's autograph and wore one of her band shirts when they attacked, much to the annoyance of her team, especially Snowbird. Later at Alpha Flight's base, Jubilee expressed her concern about using Banshee, which was like a drug, encouraging Sasquatch to power down, revealing her true form. Rain Sinclair.
Wait, what?
Yeah, apparently in the Ultimate Universe, Sasquatch was really
Rain Sinclair
Wolfsbane.
was Wolfbane. Okay, yeah, okay, you're done. That's oh my god. There's a reason the Ultimate Universe got wiped out.
But yeah, the Alpha Flight as a whole, including Jubilee, used this drug called Banshee to enhance their powers.
Oh, okay,
And
fair enough. Right then. I think on that note,
that she was Caucasian in the Ultimate Universe instead of
yeah.
Chinese American. She was basically the Generation X TV movie Jubilee.
oh, there you go. Which we said we need to get a hold of and watch.
I've got
again
it.
So that we can
I have
talk
the
about it.
bootleg DVD that I bought off eBay about 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
We'll have to get together one day when we both have a day off and watch that.
Yeah,
and then,
sure.
Or if we could do a live stream of us watching it, like with our running commentary behind it.
I would do it.
That would be like
I
we should sit and watch it first and then do a live running commentary.
No, God no.
Oh no.
We're
Okay.
going to get your first reactions on
Okay,
this
fair
one.
enough.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Well, I mean, I watched it back in the day, but yeah,
Still,
I like that better.
Whatever.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
that would
we're
be
definitely
cool.
going to have to do that on a free day. Yeah, I'm completely down with that. That'd be cool.
Just have the movie streaming and then have just our voiceover in the background. It's like, oh my god, did they really just do that?
I wonder if that would get us hit with copyright at all.
Well, no, because it's commentary, which I think can be covered under fair use law. I'll look it up.
Yeah, we'll
be
do
sure.
that. Anyway, in conclusion, yes, very much. So you had Man of Steel #1.
Man of Steel number 1 from '86.
And Ultimate X-Men #41. That's, yeah, I completely remember that. That's a freaking awesome book.
And your comments in the comments below tell us which one is your favorite, so that we can
Exactly.
read it
Let us
and
know,
we can see
because
what you like about comic books.
I would always be willing, if somebody ever tells me a good book like that, I'm always willing to read it.
I'm gonna have to go home and see if I can't find a copy of 41 and
I'm
check
telling
into
you,
it.
it's an amazing book. Oh, and the same guy that did the art for it was the guy who did the 91 X-Men series during like Executioner Song. and
Okay.
all. Kubert.
Kubert, yeah.
Yeah. He ended up doing the art for that, and it worked. It was amazing. But anyway, I'm Lonnie,
I'm Mark.
and we are Untitled Nerd Network. This has been Comic Book Malarkey, brought to you on location by Infinity Flux.
Be sure to check them out right here in Hickson, Tennessee. Y'all have an online presence too, right? So see, if you can't get to Hickson, Tennessee, just look up Infinity Flux online.
Yes.
You can. They've got an amazing back order list. So if there's something that you're missing from your collection and you need it, chances are they have it.
Yay.